how much do you actually need to spend to get really good Nugget ice at home? I wanted to see the entire range, so I bought 3 popular Nugget ice makers at 3 very different price points. The Antarctic Star is the budget option, the COWSAR costs nearly twice as much but adds an automatic dispenser, and then there's the GE Profile Opal 2.0, which can cost 3 or 4 times as much as the Antarctic Star and roughly twice as much as the COWSAR. So what exactly are you getting when you spend more? And maybe more importantly, can this little Antarctic Star actually compete with the GE Opal? If you want to check out any of these, I'll put affiliate links in the description, and subscribe if you want to enjoy more side-by-side testing of home products from someone who actually uses them every day. 1. Ice quality. Let's start with the thing that probably matters most, the actual ice. And this is where the GE Opal shows why it has such a loyal following. Its ice is incredibly light and chewable. It almost has a shaved ice texture inside, and it literally starts coming apart in your mouth. It also has that classic little barrel shape that's very similar to the restaurant-style Nugget ice people are usually trying to recreate at home. Of these 3, the GE definitely makes my favorite ice. But here's where things get interesting. The COWSAR is the second most expensive machine, but I actually don't think it makes the second best ice. Its nuggets have the shape of a slice of donut rather than barrel shapes, and they're noticeably crunchier and denser than the Opals. It's still soft and still 100% feels like nugget or pebble ice in your drink, but it's not as soft as the other 2. And I've noticed that the longer the ice sits in the dispenser, the more it starts feeling like regular refrigerator ice rather than really soft, chewable Nugget ice. The Antarctic Star surprised me. Its ice also has the shape of a donut slice, but it's softer and more chewable than the COWSAR's. And even after sitting in the basket for several hours, it does a surprisingly good job of maintaining that softer texture. It's not quite as light and flaky as the Opal ice, but considering how much this machine costs, the ice itself is remarkably good. So for ice quality, my ranking is pretty easy. GE Opal first, Antarctic Star second, and COWSAR third. And honestly, I wasn't expecting the cheapest machine to beat the middle priced one here. 2. Speed. You might assume the much more expensive GE would also make ice dramatically faster. Surprisingly, it doesn't. All 3 machines are pretty quick. In my testing, I started getting the first ice around the 10-minute mark, and after an hour, all 3 had produced a pretty similar amount. The GE may have had a slight advantage, but we're not talking about a dramatic difference. So if you're paying for the Opal because you expect it to make ice 2 or 3 times faster than the budget machine, that's not really what you're paying for. 3. Capacity and size. Where these machines really start separating themselves is capacity. The Antarctic Star holds about 4 cups of water at a time, but for 1 or 2 people, that's actually plenty for a day's ice. And refilling water is easy if you need extra. Its ice basket holds roughly 1.5 pounds, and because the ice isn't heavily refrigerated, anything that melts simply drains back into the water reservoir and gets turned into fresh ice again. One thing I've noticed is that if you're trying to make as much ice as possible, you'll want to move the ice away from the chute every 30 minutes or so. Once ice starts backing up underneath it, the machine thinks the basket is full and stops producing. The COWSAR starts with a larger water capacity of about 7 cups, but surprisingly, its actual ice storage isn't much bigger. It holds about 1.5 pounds of ice as well, which for me works out to roughly 2 or 3 full glasses depending on the size. So if you're trying to stockpile ice with either of these machines, you'll need to empty them regularly so they can keep producing. The advantage of both machines is their relatively manageable size. These are countertop appliances that you could realistically store on many normal size shelves when you aren't using them. And then there's the Opal. This thing is huge. The Opal takes up significantly more space, and that's something you really need to think about before buying it. I've seen people run into problems because it fits so tightly under their upper cabinets or under cabinet lighting. This isn't a machine I'd buy without measuring the space first and making sure it has adequate clearance. But the enormous size also gives you something the other 2 can't match: capacity. Between the main reservoir and the Opal's side tank, you can have nearly 2 gallons of water available. Instead of constantly adding water when several people are using an ice maker, you can fill it and leave it alone for much longer. And while the Opal doesn't make ice dramatically faster, in my testing it can hold dramatically more of it, up to roughly 3.5 pounds at a time. For 1 or 2 people, that may be completely unnecessary. For a large family or someone who frequently entertains, it could be one of the biggest reasons to pay more for the Opal. On paper, the daily production numbers are surprisingly close. The Antarctic Star claims about 35 pounds a day, COWSAR claims about 33 pounds, and the GE Opal is rated at about 38 pounds. Based on the production rates I saw during testing, these numbers seem reasonable. But there's an enormous asterisk beside these numbers. None of these machines can actually sit there with 35 pounds of ice in them. To actually produce anywhere near that maximum daily output, you'll need to continuously remove ice. With the Antarctic Star and COWSAR, you'll also need to make sure ice isn't piling up underneath the chute and prematurely stopping production. So I wouldn't use those daily numbers to decide which machine to buy. In real-world use, storage capacity and how much attention you're willing to give the machine matter more. Whichever one you choose, there's one maintenance issue you shouldn't ignore. If you have hard water like I do, mineral buildup happens surprisingly quick. For best results, I clean and descale these regularly, roughly once a month depending on use and your water. I've successfully used vinegar to clean all 3, although you can use an appropriate descaling solution if you prefer. The important thing is simply not to ignore it. If you're spending hundreds of dollars on an ice maker, regular cleaning is one of the easiest ways to keep it performing well. All of these have self-clean functions, so just fill the water reservoir with your descaling solution and run the clean cycle a couple of times. Then run the cleaning cycle with water a few more times before you use it again for ice. And this brings us to the biggest difference between these machines besides ice quality and capacity: features. The Antarctic Star is about the most basic an ice maker gets. You add water, it makes Nugget ice. That's pretty much it. And I actually think that's part of its appeal. The COWSAR's big upgrade is the automatic dispenser. Instead of opening an ice bin and scooping out your ice, you can put your glass underneath and dispense it directly. And there are definitely situations where I can see this being worth paying more for. If you're constantly refilling glasses or water bottles throughout the day, it's convenient. It could also make a lot of sense in an office. And if you have kids, there's something to be said for not having everyone opening the communal ice bin and reaching inside all day, even if they're supposed to be using the scoop. The trade-off is that you're paying quite a bit more primarily for that convenience, while the actual ice isn't as soft as what I'd get from the cheaper Antarctic Star. With the GE Opal, you're paying for something different. You're getting my favorite ice of the 3, much greater storage capacity, and that huge side water tank. For a heavy ice user, that means a lot less babysitting. You aren't constantly refilling the small reservoir, and you can have substantially more ice ready when you need it. So unlike the COWSAR, where I think the biggest upgrade is convenience, the Opal changes the scale of the machine. It's designed for people who want a lot of really good ice available. So which one should you buy? After using all 3, I don't think there's one winner for everyone. But I do think there's a pretty clear winner for each type of buyer. If you're shopping on a budget or you want good Nugget ice for 1 or 2 people, I'd pick the Antarctic Star. It's the biggest surprise of this competition. It's inexpensive, compact, fast, and the actual ice is really good. In fact, I prefer its softer, more chewable ice to the COWSAR's, despite the COWSAR's costing considerably more. You're giving up features and capacity, not necessarily ice quality. I'd choose the COWSAR specifically if that automatic dispenser solves a problem for you. For an office, a household where people are constantly grabbing ice, or a family where you'd rather not have everyone reaching in to open the ice bin, I can absolutely see the appeal. But I'd buy this because you want the dispenser, not because you're expecting better ice than the cheaper machine. And finally, I'd choose the GE Opal if Nugget ice is something your household uses a lot. You have plenty of counter space for it to take up, and you have a big budget. It makes the best ice of the three. It's incredibly light, soft, and chewable. It holds substantially more ice, and that extra water reservoir means much less refilling. If you have a large family, entertain frequently, or you're a person who specifically wants that restaurant-style nugget ice experience at home, this is the premium option. But you're paying a lot for those advantages, and you need the counter space for it. I'll put links to all three below so you can check out current pricing, because that can definitely change the value equation. And if this comparison helped you figure out how much you actually need to spend on a nugget ice maker, give the video a like and subscribe for more real-world product comparisons.